All right, we're here at the 2015 Intermarque Car Show in Osseo, Minnesota. I'm with Herb Grika and his 1981 Citroen 2CV. He was on last year's Walleye 1000 with his wife Heidi. We enjoyed having you on that event. This is a Charleston model 2CV. Herb, tell us a little bit about the car, your ownership.
Well, it's ironic, but I think the Citroen people wanted to open up a more American crowd, so they gave it an American town name, Charleston. Needless to say, Americans are interested in muscle cars, smooth line cars that air tunnels and computers organize, and not cars that look like an oversized toy. I get 3-year-olds pointing their finger with a big smile because they seem to almost recognize the kind of silly and, for us, delightful shape. It's adorable, and we don't mind that. We don't say it's swift. I mean, it's only 28 horsepower. That's not very much. My lawnmower is 6 horsepower. And my first deux chevaux in 1958, I went to Paris for it, was 12 horsepower. Now, there's something interesting. It was $1,300, which is the reason that I bought my first Citroen, because it was the cheapest new car, and I didn't want somebody else's problems. It didn't go very fast, couldn't quite make 50 miles an hour on a straight highway. I needed a downhill to get it going, but it took me throughout Europe and went into Turkey, then into Syria and Jordan, places I wouldn't go today, and Israel, and I brought it back, took it back to my hometown, Chicago, and from Chicago, drove it through the South because I started to get orders that the Army wanted me. So I then drove it to Washington, D.C. I was in Army intelligence in the Pentagon, and sold it to a guy, my first deux chevaux, who had 2 airplanes, 2 motor scooters, and 1 Citroen. And I thought that I was coming up against the Noah of vehicles, that he was pairing them together. I was real happy to sell it to him, even though I lost this kind of beautiful car. It looked the same silhouette as this.
When did you buy this car and how long have you had it?
I've had it now about 5 years, and I bought it in St. Paul after looking all over the country, Canada, New York, and then suddenly it appeared in St. Paul. Maureen Chevalier, by the way, her father's first name was Maurice, but he didn't sing. He was a diplomat to Switzerland, and Maureen had 3 Citroens and a 2-car garage. Well, because of salt and salt vapor, which eats away 2 winters and it's gone, she wanted to sell it, and I definitely wanted to buy it and did.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it out. It's a wonderful example. And I love the two-tone, the Charlestons. I see them in black with dark red, the
Yes.
two-tone gray.
And I kind of like that maroon and dark gray combination myself, but this is what was available, and the fact that it reeked back to my first car, which was all gray. It was battleship gray. It was very dull looking, didn't have any change of tonality, and they made that from 1948 to about 1969 in 1 color, and then they went to blue gray. Yeah. There's an interesting story of a Citroen, by the way. André Citroen, when he was buried in 1936 at Montparnasse Cemetery in Paris, the chief rabbi of Paris officiated, and I kind of dig that, part of my background. In the teens, he visited Detroit because Henry Ford was developing, with his genius, an assembly line that would teach the world how to put cars and other things together. And ironically, Henry Ford was anti-Semitic, wrote and published anti-Semitic journals, believe it or not. And I have a picture of Henry Ford and André Citroen, and they're together, shoulder to shoulder, with a big smile, because in the end, they were both making cars for the common man. Ford made the most cars in the world, and André Citroen made the second most. They had the largest production in the world. So it's kind of ironic of how, because of the camaraderie of businessmen, they let go of their prejudices of religion and culture and became buddies.
Well, Herb, always wonderful to see you. A guy who I think is as unique as the car he drives. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yes.